Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero podcast, the show where I cover the least in the best way possible. I'm your host, Jason Wells. Today is Friday, January 17th. Divisional games are here, and honestly, 3 of them, at least according to Vegas, will be relative blowouts. I don't think that we've had this big of spreads in 3 of the 4 games in quite a while. Again, I have no idea what I'm basing that off of, but it feels like the matchups in this one are fairly one-sided. Other than that Bills-Ravens game, which is the Sunday night finale, that game will be awesome. I'm going to preview all of these games very, very shortly. We'll do the NFL Weekly Update, talk about some coaching hires, another firing, a little bit of coaching rumors circulating around as well. And then I'm going to end the episode with grading the 2024 draft class, doing the first round picks. Just talk about that draft class. And, yeah. Oh, that was my final note. Again, if you want to vote on the Cover Zero Awards, click the link in my Instagram bio. It'll take you to where you need to go, vote on the all kinds of awards. Heisman ballot, I'll probably do that next Friday's show to announce the winner, so make sure to go vote, but let's just get into this NFL Weekly Update here. So starting off with the first coaching hire of the new cycle, Mike Vrabel to the Patriots. Not shocked whatsoever. Obviously, we all know his Patriots tie-ins, former player for them, Super Bowl champion for them, like, he's in their Ring of Honor, like, it makes a bunch of sense. And this is, again, it's a very good hire. I think Mike Vrabel has shown that he has been a very good coach across multiple levels, whether it be at college at Ohio State, when he was with the Texans, and obviously head coaching with the Titans. And he's just kind of the ultimate floor raiser for teams. And what I mean by that is, doesn't matter who you have out there on your team, who you're going up against, Mike Vrabel is going to have his guys playing very hard no matter what the circumstance is, and I think that's a very valuable asset to have as a head coach. It's kind of like a Dan Campbell in a sense. Yeah, and I do like the hire. Obviously, the Patriots tie-ins and going back to the Patriot way when it was the multiple dynasties with Belichick and Brady, I'm a little iffy on that. He hasn't made his coordinator hires yet. There was a rumor that maybe Josh McDaniels would be his choice as offensive coordinator. If that happens, I have some different opinions on the hire, but I won't mention those. But as of right now, Mike Vrabel, good hire for the Patriots. It seems like he'll kind of have a Belichick role where he will be overseeing most of the roster control and the types of guys that he wants, as he should. But Mike Vrabel to the Patriots, duh. And yeah, since we last spoke, we again went from 6 head coach openings to now only 5, and now we're back to 6 because the Cowboys have let go Mike McCarthy, and I'm making the distinction of let go Mike McCarthy because his contract was up, so didn't really matter what they did, but I'll start off with the Mike McCarthy side of things. I've been very low on Mike McCarthy as a head coach. I think he's just very okay. He's had very good teams for multiple years and hasn't got the best out of any of them, other than that one run where the Packers defense and Aaron Rodgers, like everything was clicking that one year, but should have more Super Bowl appearances, at least in my opinion. Like, I think Mike McCarthy's just a solid head coach. I don't think he really gets you to where he needs to be, but he does the little things well enough anyways. So not sure where Mike McCarthy is going to go. He'll have some interviews and stuff, but this leaves me to the Cowboys and mainly to Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is such a dickhead. It's crazy. I mean, there was the not giving Cooper Rush his enough snaps in that final Week 18 game to hit his 250K incentive bonus. It's blocking Mike McCarthy from interviewing with teams last week when you knew you weren't going to keep him anyways. Jerry Jones is just a dickhead, and he will constantly get in the way of his team, and he's proven that time and time again. And again, I think this is a decent move to get rid of Mike McCarthy, but now you're in the place of who's better out there. And obviously there'll be some rookie head coaches who come up and might be better, but the two guys who I really like, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, can't interview there now until after the playoffs are done because their bye was last week. So Jerry Jones won't even get a chance to interview those guys because now they're coaching in the playoffs and their season is still going. And the one name that keeps circling out there, Deion Sanders. If Deion ends up coaching the fucking Cowboys, that'll just, I mean, it's hilarious. The egos are going to be crazy. I don't know. There's, again, it's all rumors, and I think, like, the Deion one is a real rumor that's out there, and I think he has said, like, yeah, I have a lot of interest in that job if it is made available to me. But I don't think that, like, Deion, obviously, we all know Deion Sanders, Hall of Famer, one of the best corners in the league. Like, again, he's eccentric. Everyone knows who Deion is in the football world. But if you take away who Deion is and you just look at his coaching resume, where it's like, okay, he won at Jackson State, moved over to Colorado in his second year at Colorado, winning season. They looked pretty good. Why does that deserve NFL head coaching nod other than he's Deion Sanders? It doesn't. It really doesn't. That would be a very Jerry Jones type move to hire Deion Sanders, and wouldn't shock me if all of a sudden the Cowboys are trading Dak Prescott after giving him the biggest contract in NFL history and trading up to go get Shador, trading up to go get Travis Hunter. I have no idea. The Cowboys are a bad team. And we talk about, like, where this ranks in the other openings. I'd say it's above the Jets. Because I had the Jets last, so I have it. It's probably above the Saints, so I think it would be fourth right now in the openings. Because, again, you got to deal with Jerry Jones, who is an idiot, is very bad at making important football decisions for this team. And at least you got Dak, who, again, I don't think Dak is great, but he is a solid quarterback that has been playing for almost a decade at this point. Got CeeDee Lamb. You got to pay Micah Parsons, and we'll see what happens with that. But, like, there's more pieces on this team than the other openings, but dealing with Jerry Jones is incredibly hard to do. So, yeah, that is that. Speaking of head coach rumors, the Raiders are apparently the favorites right now to land Ben Johnson. People are attributing this to Tom Brady getting his hands on the team a little bit more, and I don't think Brady really has much to do with anything. Like, yeah, I think that Tom Brady is definitely making it known that he has his hands on this team, and it's probably a good thing with the direction the Raiders have just been in for this entire century. But in terms of the other openings out there, it's a fresh, clean slate where Ben Johnson can come in, have relatively good job security, because, again, Mark Davis can't afford to fire anyone again. So I think that even if things go terribly, I think that Ben Johnson will still be that coach for at least 4 or 5 years. But again, bunch of cap space. It's in a big market team, a known brand. Again, fresh, clean slate, no QB, ton of cap. Ben Johnson can bring in the GM that he wants to bring in. Like, again, out of the jobs that are out there, the Raiders is somehow the most enticing for a guy like Ben Johnson. Do I find it weird that if Ben Johnson does take this job, that he turned down other jobs just to take the Raiders job? A little bit, but that's at least the Raiders news. And then we'll talk about one team here. We'll talk about the Jets. So I mentioned it probably a couple months ago at this point, maybe a month ago, I don't know, that the Jets hired the 33rd team, which is Ari Meirov's company, to search for their GM. And in that search, they have former Jets GM Mike Tannenbaum and former Vikings GM Rick Spielman. And I don't know if these guys are getting paid per interview right now, but right now, they have 31 interviews lined up. Some of these have happened already. Some of these are going to happen. But I'm just going to list off the names of guys that they're bringing in. So for coaching, for head coach, Joe Brady, the Bills offense coordinator, Aaron Glenn, Lions DC, Brian Flores, Vikings DC, Brian Greasy, who's like the QB coach and pass game coordinator for the Niners. I didn't even know he was coaching. Vance Joseph, the Broncos defensive coordinator, Josh McCown, the Vikings offensive coordinator, Matt Nagy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator, Ron Rivera, Rex Ryan, Bobby Slowick, the Texans OC, Arthur Smith, the Steelers OC, Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, Jeff Albrecht, who was their interim head coach, Mike Vrabel, who has since been hired, Darren Rizzi, the Saints special teams and interim head coach, Mike Loxley, who coaches Maryland, sure, Joe Witt Jr., who... Damn, that's the one I'm not going to remember. Shit. And then Jeff Hapley, the Packers defense coordinator. A lot of names, not a lot of good ones. Some good ones, but some of them are like, really? We're interviewing that guy for no apparent reason. And then for GM, we have Thomas Dimitroff, who was the old Falcons GM, John Robinson, the old Titans GM, Jim Nagy, who's the senior bowl director, sure. Louis Riddick, who is former player, now an ESPN guy, draft guy. Seems very smart, but again, to go from the ESPN to general manager, little crazy. Alec Hallaby, who's with the Eagles, Mike Borgonzi, who's with the Chiefs, Ray Farmer, who is with the Rams. He's the former Browns GM, and don't look up his drafting record there. Mike Greenberg, not that Mike Greenberg, which I had to double check this too, but he works for the Bucks. Darren Muji for the Broncos, Lance Newmark for the Commanders, Trey Brown for the Bengals, Chris Spielman, yes, Spielman, Rick's younger brother who works for the Lions, a little bit of nepotism there maybe, Ryan Grigson, the man who ruined Andrew Luck with the Colts, John Eric Sullivan who works for the Packers, and then Brian Gain who works for the Bills. 31 interviews. That's, again, it's absolutely nuts that these are, again, the Jets are good at Jets, but I don't think that you need over 30 interviews total to figure out who your guys are going to be. Again, maybe they're getting paid per interview, but 31 interviews seems absolutely nuts to me. Again, having nothing to base this off on, that sounds like it's the most of like any team has ever done during like a hiring cycle. Again, I have no idea, but 31 is an insane number to me. Next note up here, Deontay Johnson, let me know if you've heard this one before, has been cut by the Texans after that one wild card game. Apparently after the game, while everyone was celebrating and having a good time, Deontay Johnson was off pouting by himself because, again, he wasn't involved in the offense 2 weeks into being with the team. Like, again, give Mike Tomlin a lot of credit for dealing with all of these batshit personalities for the Steelers, but no one has done themselves more of a disservice than Deontay Johnson has this season. And I mean, it starts with signing with the Panthers, who desperately need just weapons in general, not liking the team, because the team sucked at that point, which fair enough, and then demanding a trade. Goes to the Ravens, who, again, need wide receiver help, didn't like how he was being used. They cut him. He goes to the Texans after one game, doesn't like how he's being used, pouts, complains, it's like, okay, get off my team. Now he's back with the Ravens again. Again, I really don't understand what Deontay Johnson's like issue is. Like, just don't be a dickhead. You are not a core member of any of these teams that you were on, except maybe the Panthers. That was their plan anyways. But it's like, you have to make yourself available, and when they need you, and if they do need you, you're to show up. And if they don't need you, sit back quietly, twiddle your thumbs, and then just enjoy the potential playoff success of you being there. People are saying that the Ravens brought him back for a potential comp pick if he gets signed by someone in the offseason. But like at this point, it's going to be like a vet minimum deal, prove it deal, whatever. I don't know who Deontay Johnson's agents are, but they must be extremely pissed off with dealing with him for this season. Because again, being on, I guess technically it's only his third team this season, but his fourth different time he's been waived and cut and signed and whatever. Absolutely insane to me. I really don't understand it, but is what it is. And then final note here, I just mentioned him, but Jim Nagy, the Senior Bowl executive director, whatever he actually wants to call himself, I have no idea. He hinted at a Senior Bowl X Drive to Survive type series, which I would be really interested about. If you don't know what the Senior Bowl is, it's basically an all-star game for the best college seniors for the upcoming draft class. So they handpick these guys across countries. They grab NFL coaches, and typically it's teams that are like lower in the draft to coach these guys up for a week, and then they end up playing a game. It's usually it's a lot of fun. A lot of good notes come out of this. It's not just seniors too. I think that now it's underclassmen who have graduated and maybe specialty juniors. It's still called the Senior Bowl, but I think some juniors who are just declaring, who are just really fucking good. Because obviously, the better the players, the more eyes they get on the game in the Senior Bowl in general. So, but doing a docu-style series about the Senior Bowl and getting more behind-the-scenes looks at some of these players and some footage and who these guys really are would be really, really interesting to me, especially as a big NFL draft guy. So I would be very excited about that. Hopefully that does end up happening, but should watch the Senior Bowl anyways, because it is a very fun event, and honestly, I would like to go to the Senior Bowl at some point. It is in like Mobile, Alabama, so like maybe not, but it seems like a cool event. But we can move on and we can get into these divisional game breakdowns here. Starting off with the Saturday 4:30 game. You guessed it, the Texans versus the Chiefs. Chiefs -8, total set at 41.5. Listen, I'd like to tell you that, the Texans, after beating the Chargers, they look like they're back and they're going to be giving the Chiefs a run for their money, but I'm not going to sit here and say that. The Chiefs are going to kill them. And I think part of the reason that the Chiefs are going to kill them is because Pat Mahomes, during his bye week, had his third child. So I guess congrats to Pat Mahomes, but he gets that extra dad strength that he needs for this playoff run to win his third straight Super Bowl potentially. Yeah, I don't know how I can give the Texans a real fighting chance in this one. Again, they looked good against the Chargers, who everything went wrong for the Chargers in that game, but now they're dealing with a Chiefs team who, again, at the perfect point in the season, the Chiefs are completely healthy. And when I say completely healthy, I mean completely healthy. The only player that they had on their injury report for this week was Mecole Hardman, who was limited, and who really cares about Mecole Hardman? Obviously, this isn't talking about Rashee Rice, because we know that he's not coming back. But the Chiefs are fully healthy. They have everyone on their defense. They're only missing Rashee Rice on their offense, and their offense is still fine. They got so many guys that they can toss to. The Chiefs are gearing up for another Super Bowl run, and it starts this Saturday against the Texans. Now, the Chiefs have definitely had some issues with their tackles, and they're going against the best pass rushing duo in the league with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. And DJ Humphries is, again, that was someone who they signed. Very solid vet player, has had a long career, and he will be starting at left tackle for them, I believe. But if that goes south, Joe Thuney has shown that he can make that shift over the left tackle. They can plug someone in at guard and go from there. But right now, DJ Humphries getting that start at left tackle. Jawan Taylor, who is just fine at the right tackle spot. That interior is so fucking good, though, where I'm assuming that Thuney or Trey Smith will be helping out against those edge players at some points during the game. But that's kind of where the only way that the Texans can really disrupt the Chiefs on offense, anyways, is if their pass rush really gets home, and they're going to have a very tough time. Because other than that, like that is the one way that the Texans can get into this. If their pass rush is really cooking, and Will Anderson and Hunter are sacking Mahomes, and he's under stress all game, like I give them a chance. Again, that's a big if for me, because other than that, like again, the players that I do talk about on this defense with Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter, Stingley will not be as big of a threat because, again, the Chiefs don't have one primary guy, and you can argue that their one primary guy is Travis Kelce, but they have so many other guys that can dissect what the Texans are going to throw at them, where Stingley, it's not so simple as just taking away one guy. I think Stingley's objective will be taking away one side of the field more than anything, whichever side of the field that may be. But again, it's going to be very tough to do because they'll see where Stingley is, they'll avoid where that is, and the three other guys that are open, the other 2/3 of the field, someone will get open. And for the Texans on offense, again, Nico Collins is very hard to stop, but Steve Spagnuolo, Trent McDuffie, Justin Reed, like again, they just have guys who can stop them. Joe Mixon, I don't think he's going to have another 100-yard game in his bag. It's just, I don't know. The Chiefs are going to win. This is, again, another start to their championship DVD. Again, I'm completely in on the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl again. Until they lose, I am in on the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl again. I think it's as simple as that. And for the Saturday night game, we have Commanders at Lions. Lions minus 9.5. Total set at 55.5. Again, another Lions game, another high total. And it makes sense because the Lions aren't getting anyone back of significance for this Commanders team. They do get Tyrion Arnold back, who probably would have missed last week if they did need to play. So they will miss him. He will get the task of Terry McLaurin, I'm sure, for most of the game. But again, there is a path for the Commanders to beat the Lions, and that is scoring more points than they do, which obviously, but this game is going to be a shootout, and if somehow the Commanders defense can stop the Lions offense just a little bit, like maybe there's a chance Jaden Daniels, but again, Jaden Daniels will have to keep up with whatever the Lions offense is doing, and as much as I discredit the Lions defense with who they have out there right now just because of all of the injuries, Aaron Glenn is really fucking good at his job, and he will have, again, he will be doing different things, throwing different things at Jaden Daniels to try to confuse him, and he still is a rookie quarterback. So I think the Lions are going to win, but I think that there's more of a path for the Commanders to keep it close if it gets to a shootout. Jaden has been able to keep games close no matter who they go up against, and again, it's not a strong defense that they're playing. David Montgomery for the Lions is apparently playing on I think he has a torn MCL. I have no idea why he's playing. Like, it really doesn't make any sense to me. Obviously, you want to be part of your team's playoff and potential Super Bowl run, but it seems like a nuts thing for him to do. I don't know how much he'll actually be used, but I'm interested to see what Montgomery's workload will be. I think I'm probably going to bet all of his unders, because I don't know if DraftKings or like if Vegas odds have really adjusted, because I think Keegan texted me earlier in the week where Gibbs and Montgomery are both like minus 300 or more to score a touchdown this week, which is, again, absolutely insane. Makes sense, but still insane regardless. So I'll have to take a look at what David Montgomery's numbers are. But again, it's a very tough task for the Commanders to get it done. There's a reason why the Lions are 9.5-point favorites. But when everyone's, again, I can say the same thing about the Chiefs too, but when everyone is really on one team and really focused in on it's like, oh, the Lions are going to kill them. 95% of the money's on the Lions right now. Be a good day for Vegas if the Commanders won. I'll say that. But we can go on to the Sunday games now. The Sunday afternoon game, Rams at Eagles. Eagles minus 6.5. Total set at 43.5. This, when you just look at rosters and personnel wise and who will be out there on the field, the Eagles destroy the Rams in terms of better units and better supporting players anyways. Like, if I just go through it, it's like, okay, quarterback, I give the edge to the Rams. And then you go running back, Eagles, wide receivers, Eagles, tight end, Eagles, offensive line, Eagles, defensive line, Eagles, linebacker, Eagles, secondary, Eagles. So other than quarterback, and I will give the nod to coaching for the Rams for obvious reasons, everything is leaning the Eagles' way. But the two most important things that I named there, quarterback and coaching, the Rams do have the edge in those positions. And that's why I'm a little hesitant to fully back the Eagles. I do think that the Eagles, again, the Eagles with the roster and everything that happens, they should win this game, and they should win this game relatively easily. But the Eagles don't do anything the easy way for whatever reason. And it'll be tough. It'll be very tough for the Rams, whose defense played fantastic, lights out against the Vikings, to ask this young defensive line to go up against one of the best offensive lines in football and try to win. Yeah. I don't know. Again, I think it's basically, if the Eagles don't get in their own way, they should win. But the issue is the Eagles do like to get in their own way and get in their own way quite a bit. So that's why I'm hesitant. I'm definitely going to pick the Eagles to win this one, but I'm justified in my hesitance to actually pick the Eagles. But it'll be tough. Again, matchup-wise, there's a lot of fun matchups in this one. That Eagles secondary going against Puka Nacua. Quignon on Puka will be a fun matchup. Again, the really young, very good Rams defensive line going against one of the best offensive lines in football. Jared Verse versus Jordan Mailata or Lane Johnson will be very fun to watch as well. Yeah, this, again, it's going to be a good game, but the Eagles should cover this spread. But again, their coaching is not where it should be. Jalen Hurts did not have a good game last week coming back from his concussion. There is reason to like the Rams, but again, better roster, it is the Eagles, so I will be picking the Eagles. And then finally, the game that everyone is most excited about, Ravens at Bills. Ravens -1, total set of 51.5. This game is awesome. This game is setting up, again, it's the neck and neck in the MVP race between Lamar and Josh Allen. Obviously, the awards have been voted on already, and this game doesn't matter, but to us, to the fans, it matters, and the Bills are lucky this game is at home. I will tell you that, because I am leaning the Ravens. I think that the Ravens, what they do on offense is extremely hard to stop with Lamar and Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers did not practice yesterday, and which was Wednesday, and I'm about to check if he has been practicing today. 23. Okay, haven't got an update on Zay Flowers as of yet. But John Harbaugh was non-committal about Zay Flowers being available for the divisional game, and that's where things can get a little bit interesting, because if you can stop the run, and that's a big if, Derrick Henry is extremely hard to stop. We have known this since he's been in the league, basically, but if you can stop the run game, the Bills have a chance. And this Bills offense is great. They're going against a really, really tough defense who has been playing lights out football this second half of the season. But if you can slow down Derrick Henry, and Josh in the offense can do their thing. Again, that Ravens pass rush going against the Bills offensive line that absolutely shut down the Broncos last week. That'll be a very fun matchup to watch. This Ravens secondary going against the bunch of different options that the Bills have to throw to. It's kind of like going against the Chiefs in a way. And if the Ravens do end up winning this one, their game plan against the Bills will probably be similar to what it will be against the Chiefs. Chiefs don't have as good of a run game, obviously, but at least pass catching wise, it'll be similar because there's just so many guys on both of those offenses that Mahomes and Allen can throw to. It's going to be a really close one, but luckily for the Bills, they are at home in this one. And Buffalo, it's going to be cold. I think it's going to be hovering around the 0 degree Fahrenheit mark, which I don't know what that is in Celsius. I think that's like -10. Fahrenheit's so stupid. Whatever. It's going to be cold. Lamar not a big fan of playing in the cold. He's made that known. But that Bills home crowd is going to be crazy. I mean, if it's anything like when I was there for that Niners game, their stadium's going to be nuts. So I don't know. It's so hard to lean. I'm leaning the Ravens just because when we're talking about offenses and defenses, the Ravens just have the better defensive unit. I think this will be a big Matt Milano run downhill, find wherever Derrick Henry is and just hit him as hard as you can type game, which again, very tough to ask Matt Milano, but the Bills in that first matchup, and people will probably go back to that first matchup they had against the Ravens where the Ravens kicked the shit out of them on defense. No Matt Milano, no Terrell Bernard, no Taron Johnson, who are very key contributors for this Bills D. I don't know. This is going to be a really fun football game. I'm very, very excited about this one. Again, I lean the Ravens, but taking the Bills as a home underdog maybe just seems a little too enticing to me. I don't know. Leaning the Ravens, no real official pick yet, but that is the divisional preview. Really excited to see how this weekend shapes out. I feel like again, other than that Sunday night game, I feel like it'll be Chiefs in the AFC Championship, and then Lions Eagles in the NFC Championship. But who knows? Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this 2024 draft class. And some few notes off the top here is these grades, while complete, will still be incomplete in the sense that you can't really get a good or a great gauge on a player until, in my mind, it's 3 seasons. After that 3-season mark, it's rather you have it or you don't, where there's still some time for some of these guys to really ascend and play great, or after great rookie seasons, they fall off. So, and with that in mind too, this first round, I don't think I'll have a lot of really bad grades. I think I'm probably going to end up posting a graphic of like, my top 5 grades after that graph, and my bottom 5 probably, but not a lot of bad picks. Really not a lot of bad picks whatsoever, but let's get into it here. And starting off with the first overall pick, the Bears with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams had a fine season. Was it disappointing? Yeah, the expectations for Caleb and the Bears were playoffs, and Caleb having the first 4,000 passing yard season for the Bears in franchise history, and he's just going to run away with Rookie of the Year, and the Bears were just incompetent, just as a franchise and as an offense in general. It was very tough to watch, and at times, Caleb was very tough to watch as well. He had his moments, he had his highlights, he had his lowlights, but at the end of the season, Caleb played fine, and I don't think the Bears are really regretting the choice that they made. It would have been nice for that O-line to B, much, much better. Would have been nice if they had a run game. Would have been nice if Caleb didn't have 3 offensive coordinators in a single season, which is absolutely insane. But I'm giving this grade a B minus, where again, with all the expectations around it, wasn't great, but it was good enough. And for me, anyways, I've seen enough of Caleb to be like, you will be at the minimum a relatively successful QB at this level. Whether that just means you'll be a solid starter, or again, he can still reach his top 5 projected ceiling or whatever, but Caleb gets a B minus for me. Next rookie QB here, Jane Daniels. Jane Daniels, who's probably going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I've got some things to say about that, but we've all heard the things I need to say about. Jane Daniels, it's an A. It's really easy to see why. I mean, they're in the divisional round of the playoffs. They won a playoff game. He broke the rookie rushing record. He did everything that the Commanders wanted him to do this season and more. That offense looked great. There's Caleb, or not Caleb Williams. Jaden Daniels had a terrific rookie year, and honestly, I'm gonna bump it up to an A plus instead, because again, phenomenal rookie season for Jaden Daniels. Next QB here, 3 in a row. The Patriots, 3rd overall with Drake May. I'm gonna give Drake May I'll say a B plus. So why it's not an A is, again, it's not Drake May's fault really, but the turnovers weren't great. Like when you look at his numbers, 15 touchdowns to 10 interceptions in, how many starts did he have? In, either way, it doesn't say starts here, but in 13 games, 10 interceptions. It's not great. That number will obviously get brought down when he has a NFL offensive line in front of him and NFL weapons to actually throw to. But the flashes and the really, really good things you saw from Drake May make this a B plus. Again, it sucks that Drake May is in the division, but I think giving him a B plus for his rookie year is very good. Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals. So like Caleb here, Marv had a ton of expectations. Oh, he's going in with Kyler Murray. He's going to be his number 1 weapon, yada, yada, yada. And like Caleb, Marv was fine. Which, again, a lot of that isn't Marv's fault. You can blame scheme, you can blame Kyler, and I think that people's opinions on Kyler after this season, or people who had higher opinions on Kyler, like I'll include myself in that, have much lower opinions on Kyler after this season, because it's like, oh, it wasn't Cliff Kingsbury and his offensive schemes that just got figured out in the second half of the season. It's you. It's Kyler, and Marv was part of the issue with that. Now, Marv still had a good, productive rookie season for a receiver, 62 catches, 885 yards, 8 TDs. But the expectations, it should have been more. So, like the same, actually no, I'm going to give him 1 notch higher. The Cardinals get a B for drafting Marvin Harrison Jr., and I think that's fine. Chargers here with Joe Alt. Joe Alt gets an A. That's an easy A, one of the best tackle prospects. Came in, immediately looked incredible. The Chargers have their starting tackle duo for the next decade. Very nice to have. I don't really have, again, it's hard to really talk about offensive linemen and how well they pass block and run block, but Joe Alt as a rookie was tremendous, and he's only going to get better as he ages. So yeah, Joe Alt an easy A. Malik Neighbors for the Giants. Again, terrific rookie season. 109 catches, 1,204 yards, 7 TDs on the year. A minus. I'm going to give Neighbors an A minus, and the reason he gets an A minus and not an A is not Neighbors' fault at all. Neighbors is awesome. It's more of the Giants for Nah. I was going to say, like, oh, taking a wide receiver this early when you have other holes on the roster, but I think going into the year, anyways, wide receiver was needed. They needed an actual proven weapon for whoever the quarterback was to throw to, but no, I'm going to give, like Joe Alt, I'm going to give Neighbors an A, switching that. J.C. Latham for the Titans, big left tackle. B minus. I think that Latham, he had his ups and downs throughout the season, and big, strong, powerful dude who just needs to work on the finer things of offensive line play. Because it was his knock when he was coming out of college, where if he gets his hands on you, it's hard to get around him. But if you can make him miss and use speed to get around him, makes it a little bit easier. I thought that he played well. Was it perfect? No, but I think that the Titans should be happy with that pick still at number 7. So yeah, Latham gets a B minus as well. Michael Penix at 8, only starting in 5 games. He looked okay for most of those starts. It's hard to grade, and I'm just going to kind of give him like an average whatever. It's a C. Where, again, the Falcons picking a quarterback, I think that they're very happy that they picked Michael Penix now because Kirk clearly wasn't the guy, and now they at least have a backup plan going into next year. But Penix looked fine. And again, it's because he had such a limited amount of games played where it's tough to give him like a full grade, but like C plus, he was fine. It was okay. At number 9 here, we have the Bears with Rome Odunze. Looking back on it now, they should have went with a tackle or another edge player or just anyone else on the offensive line instead of another weapon to add to this offense. And Rome still had again, pretty good season. 54 catches, 734 yards, 3 TDs as that third wide receiver for that offense. It's not bad. But it'll be a C+, where I think that there were better things that the Bears could have done with that pick, and Rome didn't hit the ceiling that, again, like Marv and like Neighbors, that was the tier for me. He didn't really hit those marks that I thought that he probably could have in his rookie year, and again, a lot of that is due to bad scheming, and maybe I'm being unfair on this. So if Caleb gets a B minus, I'll give Rome a B minus too, because again, lots of other things to go wrong. And number 10, JJ McCarthy. It's an incomplete grade. Didn't play at all this year. Was hurt. So we will see next year. Olu Fashanu to the Jets at 11. This is a B plus move. Another guy who didn't get a ton of playing time, which was the plan. Tyron Smith at left tackle, Morgan Moses at right tackle. He played along the interior with injuries. I think, other than center, he played every position on the Jets' offensive line this season, which is awesome to see. And he did a very good job. And when Tyron Smith got hurt, Olu went at left tackle, the Jets' offensive line, it looks pretty good. And then he has a plantar fascia tear in his foot, done for the year. So limited playing time, but from what I saw and what the Jets saw of Olu, I'm going to give him a B plus here. And at 12, the Broncos with Bo Nix. I think at the time I probably gave this an F or a D. And after his rookie season, Bo Nix is getting a B plus. I am not going to give him an A because, again, I still have my doubts about Bo Nix, but Bo Nix looks like he's going to be a starter in this league for the foreseeable future anyways. He looks pretty good. Broncos offense has to figure out, get an actual running game going, maybe get a little bit more weapons here, but Bo Nix looks like an NFL game manager type quarterback, and for that, he gets a B+. The Raiders with Brock Bowers, A+. Super easy to do. He literally made first team All-Pro in his rookie season. It doesn't get better than that. I mean, after being the best tight end in college for 3 straight years, he then finishes his year with 112 catches, almost 1,200 yards and 5 TDs. Again, in his rookie season as a tight end, you can't ask for anything better than that. The Raiders absolutely nailed that pick, and it just fell in their laps more than anything. At number 14, the Saints picked Tali Fuaga. Their left tackle, did he start all 17 games? He did start all 17 games, and came in and did his job, immediately improved that offensive line that I thought was going to be one of the worst units in the league this year, and they weren't good. They obviously dealt with a lot of injuries, but they were better than expected. I give Fuaga a B. Again, he very solid rookie year. I think he will get better. Again, like most of these guys, will get better as they get older. And once that offensive line gets better in general, I think that helps Fuaga a bit. But after his rookie year, I'm going to give him a B. Leatu Latu at pick 15 for the Colts. For being the first defensive player taken off the board, given what the other guys behind him ended up doing, this pick is a C. And it's not because I don't think Leatu can develop into a stud pass rusher, but the pass rushers taken behind him just look better at this moment and look like they might have more of a complete game, where Latu is just that speed rusher guy off the middle, does his couple moves, but like in terms of power, again, he can get better, but this move gets a C for me. And he had a good productive rookie season, but compared to these other edge guys who we'll talk about in a bit, lowers his value just a little bit. Seattle with Byron Murphy, the big defensive tackle. How many games did he play in? I think that he got hurt. Only in 14 games this year. When he played, again, I'm very excited to see what he can do for this team next year, a year under his belt, a year of NFL training in the offseason, second year in the Mike McDonald scheme. But I'm very excited about what his potential can be, but after just one season, it's a B. Like, I think he was good, he was solid, he flashed, didn't really need to do a ton, but I think he's still going to be a very good player, and I'm going to give him a B for now. At 17, the Vikings picked edge player Dallas Turner, who got into 16 games, but wasn't a contributor. So based off there's other guys who did contribute later on in rounds and blah, blah, blah. The fact that they picked Verse basically to sit a year behind Andrew Van Ginkel and Jonathan Grenard, who both had very good seasons. Again, it's kind of a C-, and this is an indictment, whatever, on Dallas Turner. I still believe that he can develop into a good player, and I think learning from someone like Andrew Van Ginkel, who can rush the pass rusher, drops back in the coverage, I think that they're looking for that in Dallas Turner, and that's a very complex role to play. So it's a C- for now, but it's more so just the Vikings didn't have players to... They drafted a player in the first round. They drafted 2 players in the first round who basically didn't start for them the entire season. So that's the little bit of the knock there. At 17, the Bengals with Amarius Mims. He had his injury woes and concerns, and it showed up again for the Bengals. He was hurt for not a long stretches of time, which is good, and you hope that it stays that way, but those injury concerns do pop up. But when he did play, he looked really solid, and for this Bengals offensive line that needs a lot of help, you hope that he can continue to do that. I'll give it a B-. I like the move. I'm still concerned about his injury history, and he was banged up throughout the season, but Mims gets a B- for me because when he did play, he looked like a solid to very solid tackle for them. Jared Verse of the LA Rams. he gets an A. It's an easy A for him. The amount of pressure that he was getting on quarterbacks this year and didn't lead to double-digit sack numbers for him, but he had a very, very productive rookie year, was the best edge rusher in this class, in my opinion anyways. Well, I mean, after seeing everything going into the year, I think he might have been my third edge rusher, but Jared Verse, I mean, didn't prove me wrong because I still really liked him, but had a great rookie season, is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, has his team playing in the divisional round now, so Jared Verse, just a home run pick by Les Snead and Sean McVay. At number 20, we have Troy Fotano, who, it's an incomplete, didn't get to play for the Steelers, got hurt early on, I think in his literal first game of the year, so didn't get to play, incomplete grade, so we'll move on here. 21, Chop Robinson. Chop had a very productive rookie year. Did it lead to the stat sheet all the time? No, but his get off from the line of scrimmage was, I think, 6th fastest in the entire league, and his pressure rate on QBs was also top 10s for his rookie season. He, again, for what my expectations were for Chop going into the season, I had relatively low expectations, and he exceeded those wildly. I'm going to give him a B. There are obviously things that he can improve on in his game going forward, but his baseline of a player now is much higher than I thought it was going to be, so Chop gets a B for me. Quinyon Mitchell at 21 to the Eagles. It's an A. Again, when you can draft a number 1 corner who starts every game and is just locking down opposing wide receiver ones for you all season, that's an easy A. Quinyon was awesome, neck and neck for Jared Verse in that Rookie of the Year race, in my opinion. But, drafting a lockdown corner at pick 22, that's absolutely crazy. Brian Thomas Jr. at pick number 23 for the Jags. Another A+. 87 catches, 1,282 yards, 10 TDs on the season, with Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones throwing him the football. It's only going to get better for him. Again, the ceiling for Brian Thomas Jr. now is through the roof, top 5 potential receiver in the league. Again, he probably definitely should have made it to the Pro Bowl. I think was getting some all-pro considerations, at least some votes anyways, but unbelievable rookie season from him. Obviously deserving of an A+. Tyrion Arnold to the Lions at pick 24. Tyrion Arnold also gets a B. Up and down rookie year, but relatively consistent. I think that his one issue was when it came to penalties. He was getting a little grabby, and when you're a rookie, you don't really get that same kind of leeway you do as a proven vet. So maybe as the years go by, he can, again, keep his hands clean for at least for now, and then get away with more things later on. But again, solid rookie year. And in this defense that is asking a lot of him right now with all the injuries, he's playing well. Didn't have as good of a season as Quinyon, but I will give Tyrion Arnold a B for this season anyways. Jordan Morgan, the tackle for the Green Bay Packers, didn't play for them. So, but unlike J.J. McCarthy and Troy Fotano, who didn't play for for their respective teams because of injuries, and before I actually go into this, I'm actually just going to make sure that Jordan Morgan is healthy. Okay, no, he is on injured reserve, but he was not starting for the... He wasn't starting for them even when... I was looking at the wrong column anyways, yeah. Wasn't starting for them... Was he starting for them? I should know this. Either way. I'll give it a C. I think it's air. Now I'm gonna give it an incomplete. Actually, I'm gonna pause this. Okay, I have found it. Yeah, he was starting for them at right guard because I was confused because I was like, I know he wasn't starting for them at either of the tackle spots. So was he playing? And he was. But again, he's getting a C. Didn't have a full season under his belt, and honestly, I didn't watch the Packers guard play much this season, so they got a C. Could be an incomplete, but gets a C. Next team up here, I switched tabs. Now I got to go back. Graham Barden to the Bucks at pick 26. Graham Barden was a stud. Graham Barden gets, again, an A. For how this offensive line was viewed going into the year, where that's Tristan Wirfs, and then it's like, our rookie at center, and some question marks here and there. Graham Barden had a terrific, terrific season, and I'm sure there's quite a few teams ahead that would have been like, shit, we should have just picked Graham Barden instead of the guy that we ended up with. He played great. He really did play great, other than, that one bad snap in the wild card game last weekend. But Graham Barden, terrific rookie season. Darius Robinson also kind of gets an incomplete. This is kind of like the Jordan Morgan thing where like he played but like dealt with injury. He was basically on IR for most of the year, came back, and then it was just kind of like they're just kind of putting him in there to get him some like game reps anyways. So incomplete / C, I guess. Like I feel like if I don't really know when you did play, it's not an incomplete, but I'll give him a C. As again, there's really not much to talk about his rookie season. Xavier Worthy at pick 28. This pick gets a B+. I was concerned about the time and how he would be used, and it started off slow. It did start off slow for Worthy, but over the course of the year, his play picked up, his usage picked up, and he ended up finishing the year with 59 catches, 638 yards, and 6 TDs. And now going into these playoffs, he is the Chiefs' number one wide receiver out there. And I'm interested to see a full week of Andy Reid scheming things, how they're going to use Xavier Worthy against the Texans. But it's a B+. It was a trade-up that absolutely worked for them. They got their wide receiver, and they did the Rashee Rice thing where they eased him in. So it wasn't a great year the entire year, but yeah, BB+ for Xavier Worthy. At number 29, we have Tyler Guyton for the Cowboys. This is a B-. Guyton had his ups and downs. It was tough for this Cowboys offensive line I think they were relying on 2 rookie starters, dealt with some injuries there too. So had his moments, had his like, oh shit, but I think relatively solid rookie season, B-, C+ grade. Nate Wiggins for the Baltimore Ravens at pick 30. This is a B+. Like Nate Wiggins has basically started as one of their outside corners for the entire season. Had a little bit of injuries, but again, when you're at pick 30 and you can find a guy who starts for you basically the whole season and really holds up his end of the bargain, like he played very, very well. Helps having a very good front seven and a really good secondary in general, but Nate Wiggins did his job very well, so he gets a B+. Ricky Pearsall at pick 31 obviously only played got into 11 games this season, but he did get shot in the chest at the start of the year, so wasn't a productive season for Ricky Pearsall, but not many people would after getting shot in the chest. Started playing more and getting more like significant reps later into the season, finished his year with 31 catches for 400 yards and 3 TDs. Again, it's a C. It's hard to evaluate him after this 1 year because he didn't really get a ton of playing time for obvious reasons. But you saw the potential and you saw what he could be, and it's interesting. It's very interesting. And at number 32 here, we have Xavier Leggett for the Carolina Panthers. Played in 16 games this season, finished with 49 catches, 497 yards, and 4 TDs. This is honestly the worst pick of the first round. And this is coming from someone who really, really liked Xavier Leggett. I think he was my wide receiver 5 just based off his potential and like what his ceiling could be. And he had every opportunity, and you saw the flash plays, and you saw that, but got to work on a lot of stuff. His hands, which I didn't really think was a huge issue coming out of college, he had a lot of drops for the Panthers this season. So I think this one gets a C minus. Like, it's, again, he had an okay rookie season. He has lots of things that he can work on in the offseason, and I think he will get better. But for right now, I think that's probably the worst pick of the first round. Again, I said it at the top. The fact that I didn't give anyone like a failing grade, essentially, for any other picks, it might just be me being too lenient and being too nice with my grades, but like 90% of the guys I just listed, when they played, were productive, solid, quality, good NFL players, which I don't think you can say that about many first-round drafts, and that might be something I have to go back and look, but that's regrading every draft class, or not every draft class, but regrading the first round of the 2024 draft. Yeah, that'll do it. It is 2:41. I gotta start getting ready for... I'm going to the Suns game tonight. I get to see my boy Alex Ovechkin hopefully score another goal. It'll be a fun game. I am very excited to... it's probably going to be the last time I see Ovi play hockey. So, yeah, going to be bittersweet just a little bit. I mean, if you can't tell, that is him right up there. I think I have him up here twice. Do I not have him up here twice? I don't have him up here twice, but there is a picture directly across from me that him and all of his awards from, I don't know, probably his like 4th season in the league. Either way, very excited for this game. Very excited for the divisional round. And yeah, we'll talk about it more on Wednesday's show. As always, if you've liked this, please like, share, retweet, subscribe, tell your friends, and all that fun stuff. And until next time, peace.